Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Environmental Services Committee meeting for Tuesday, May the 13th. We'll call the meeting to order, see if there's any declarations of pecuniary interest.
None known.
None here either. The prior meeting minutes were approved at the most recent council meeting. Do you have any questions at all about that?
No.
Okay, ongoing tasks from carried forward. You want to walk us through any of those, Jim or Jay?
Don't think there are a whole lot of water ones. Water is blue.
Oh,
Um,
how appropriate.
so the only one on there, I think, was the one for the checking to see if the meters were, if we could get a better price if we buy them all at the same time.
Rather than
And I
third
don't-
through third, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anything's happened with that.
If we did do anything, I guess it was deferred to 2026, so. We'll actually, I'll get a re-quoted for the 2026 budget. And then at that time, I'll get confirmation on any discounts that are available.
Okay, I think we just wanted to know, we could still ask them, couldn't we? If there's a.
We
there's a
can
big-
ask them, but they're gonna, everything, they're not gonna guarantee anything, but it's 30 days.
So shall we leave that?
We can leave it on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't ask about it every meeting
But
though,
then
okay?
it doesn't go away.
We promise that.
Maybe we need another.
I
call.
can, what I can do is leave it on eScribe, but delete it from the file when, before it comes
Okay.
to the committee.
A few months and it'll be back on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and even call it pending versus incomplete, right? Because. Okay, so health and safety issues, nothing that's new or different from previous reports, so. We'll receive and file that. We'll go to new business and with be the manager's monthly report, Jay, so you may walk us through that.
So update from the previous month, basically the digester project. CAO sent out a communication to the contractor. Basically giving some direction to them. I don't think we've made any responses at this time. So work management, we have three full-time employees in the department. We have a full-time person that's on leave. And we do have two Lambton College Co-op students that have started up a plant, so we're trying to get them up to speed to get them familiar with the facility and get them to help out as much as they can.
So they're being paid with the variance from the full-time person being away? Because we didn't budget for them, did we?
Yeah, so it was two, we had a budget line item for co-op student, and then we also have the wages from the person that's off, so between the two accounts, it will cover
Okay.
everything that they're there for. And then again, just still looking into something permanent for a solution to, cover the needs of an apartment. Training, all of the staff are continuing to get their required hours to maintain or gain higher certification. Again, it's a little more difficult when we're shorthanded. Even with the co-op students, they can only do so much, so they're not really a replacement for a full-time qualified person, but health and safety training, that we just continue to follow the village matrix on that. Certification, all of our staff have all their required certifications under the regulations, and I still continue to encourage them to try and improve and increase their qualification levels going forward. Treatment plant, all the maintenance we're doing through the mesh work order system, and it's being done on the regular schedules. The rural facilities can have all their routine maintenance and general housekeeping work done on their regular scheduled basis. The administration building, it's just the ongoing health and safety issues with it. The new water admin building, We did hire, Collins Fraser Engineering to take over the lead on that project. We've got confirmation from all the subs that were being used that they'll continue. We've signed, agreements with them to, start billing us directly for that. And they're in the process right now of reviewing what MIG submitted to us, and probably be another, I'm assuming, a couple weeks before we get a report back if and what changes they require in order to stamp. And then we need to look at how we're going to move forward with that, whether it's a continuation of the existing tender or it has to be a new tender. Then we are looking, Jim's been dealing with legal on that as well to get some advice. And then in my office, it's still continuing leaks. But again, we can't do anything with that until the digester is repaired. And I'm working with a couple companies and trying to get new engineer as well on that project to get that moving as well. And then as stated previously, Jim had sent a notice out to the contractor regarding the work. Inspections, we've never had any inspections done over the last period. Wastewater infrastructure, all the remote equipment and stations are in good operational condition. There are a couple road repairs from sewer work that was done in the past. Now that the asphalt plants are open, they're going to be scheduled to be done here in the next week or two. We've talked to the contractor, so they are working at getting those all scheduled. There's about 3 or 4 across the village that need to be all done, and we'll try to do them all in one day. Drinking water infrastructure, all the assets are currently in good operational condition, and all of the scheduled work is being completed and tracked through mesh. St. Clair Street, environmental services. So we've been working a lot with Copen and the engineer on phases 4, 3, and setting up planning for number 2 phase. Phase 4 is going extremely well. We're actually tied in on the east and west water mains, the old existing water mains that were on Alexander. We did that this morning. They're currently going to start working on actually doing home tie-ins to the new water main today. And then we've asked them for a quote. When we isolated, we had a valve that was leaking on Michigan, so it's not sealing tight. So we're gonna have to possibly replace when they have the intersection with Doug. Cope's getting his pricing on what it wasn't in the original contract. The valve operates, it just won't seal. So
That's at Michigan and St. Clair.
yeah, it's right. It's the east valve, the north valve. Well, I had Nicole Water come in yesterday, and they did the leak test sounding on it. It has a tiny bit of leakage on it. It's not bad, but the north valve, the east valve is leaking quite a bit. It just, we tried, to the point where if we cranked any harder, we probably would have broke it. So, we are getting a price to replace all the valves in the intersection while we haven't dug up, and then just the one. That was yesterday. I don't know when we're gonna get that price. Hopefully in the next day or 2, we'll have that number back.
So is this water leak outside the pipe, or
No.
it's just not sealing,
won't seal.
closing the pipe?
Yeah, so when we
Okay.
tried to isolate, to cut the old water main, out,
Right.
everything that should have been isolated was, and when they started cutting the pipe, we still had pretty much full pressure.
Somebody got wet.
And there's a lot of water still coming through,
Yeah.
so we
Okay.
did get it stopped enough to do
Mhm.
the work, but, and capped, but we do need to deal with it. So, like I
Yep.
said, once we get that price, they'll be sending it to Danny at Dobbin, and then Danny will let me know, and we'll meet to discuss it once we have the numbers.
In regards to that block, did all the residents that had, were water lines on their property upgrade them? Or what are we doing with those? 'Cause I heard some of them were really bad.
Well, one was really bad. They did have some issues. I talked to her about it. She told me she wasn't going to likely go ahead with anything. I explained to her it'd be a lot cheaper to do it now than in the middle of the winter. But it's in her, we did have a discussion, and it's in her hands to make that nobody else, like the new house, the new duplex, they're both new. Nobody else that I know of has
I don't think there's anybody on that block.
reached out at all.
So we don't have any rules or bylaws that they have to have a good service between the curb stop and the house? Cause if it starts to leak underground, that's we don't recover that because it's before the meter. So we're putting ourselves at risk financially because somebody won't maintain a good service to their house, right?
Yeah, there could be potential water loss. We don't have anything in writing that I know of or have seen that would enforce making people. All I can do is highly recommend it. I'm not sure why they went when the village has the, they have the interest-free loan program and everything. It's the ideal time for anybody to take advantage, but we can't force them.
Should we be reaffirming that to the resident in writing, like a letter from you, just saying that during construction, we inspected your water service and it is in poor condition and that, like just so that if and when something comes up, like say in the winter and they get some huge bill, we can say, well, you can verbally talk to them, which is lovely, but unless it's in writing, I don't think we have a good, I'm just saying to just protect ourselves and make sure they understand that you've been warned or cautioned or encouraged to upgrade and,
We can send them a letter. I don't know. Like, so it's not gonna give them a large bill because the leak is gonna be for the meter, right?
that's what I mean. We would incur that, right?
Yeah.
Like they would not get a bill at all. They could leak for a year underground,
Yeah,
right? And we would only, we may never know about it, if it's draining away property and sand and all that stuff. And then until we go to do our leakage annual study and see it's up a little bit. But we would be losing all that water potentially. And it has no impact to the homeowner because it's before the meter. So I'm just trying to protect us from losing all that water.
no, I agree with you. We just don't have that. I don't know if we have that
Any teeth.
mechanism in place
Yeah.
to force it.
Mhm.
I know we did look at some of like the sewer stuff. If it's damaged, if it's not working, then we have to fix it, but, again, to make people go ahead and do it, I don't know if we can.
Yeah, I think we just caution them, remind them in writing about our interest-free loan offer and,
We have reminded since.
Yeah, the letter just
Yeah.
went out last week.
okay.
And a gentleman came in the other day and to sign up for it,
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've had about 5 phone calls
yeah,
Nice. Okay.
about it.
because we talked about this before about reminding, and they did remind, and
Yeah.
it's maybe like Thursday or Friday, a man came in and signed up.
Okay, thanks, Jake.
Um, So, right, find my spot here. So yes, we had our first major capital infrastructure meeting. Basically set up a meeting with Jim, Mike and Jane and myself. Try to have these as regular meetings, and we were basically trying to develop that 5 to 10 year capital plan. And to review our infrastructure. So it's not just the capital, but it's also to help us with asset management. And then it's been discussed multiple times that, all of the funding seems to be leaning towards projects that are considered more shovel ready. My understanding is the last few times we've applied, it's because we haven't been to that state of shovel readiness. So I'm asking to start with this group to start building and deciding which projects we need to look at, and then, you know, maybe starting in 26, 27, we start getting some engineering money put aside to, and budgeted to start these projects off. Jane and Mike and I think Jim, everyone seems to be fairly, interested in moving forward with this stuff, so it is a requirement of our QMS that we do these infrastructure reviews. So it should roll in nicely between all our departments and the asset management. We're gonna try to have a meeting every couple of weeks for the first little bit. Unfortunately, it's just been crazy, so there's just no way. But as soon as things get caught up a little bit, and we do wanna have regular meetings, at least twice a month to get started. Maybe try to spread them out once we kind of have the groundwork of how we wanna proceed with it all.
Did you talk, there is a grant that closes at the end of June.
Yep.
That we were going to apply to the project,
We're going to apply, or the plan, the
because
hope
it's,
is to apply for your building to this.
Okay.
It's because it's health and safety related to water. So we figured we'd tie in all like the health and safety reports that we've had for years.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking like the bigger one.
Yeah, this is what you're talking about, two totally separate things,
Yeah.
but
But no, that's good. Anything we can head for. But, in that one, we would be, but then technically shovel ready, right? Like it's, once the engineering's
Mhm.
done, you know, we're supposed to be at a point where we could apply for permits, so. Inspections, audits and reports, so all the required reports were submitted to the MOE and to Jim to provide to council for the water and wastewater systems. We had our QMS audit and it was the big year, so we had to do our reaccreditation. So there was some findings with that. We have, I've submitted all the required paperwork back to the auditor, to get our reaccreditation. They reviewed the findings. They haven't responded back. Did they have any issues with what I had sent as responses for those issues? And, we did have a water meeting and discussed it with, the QMS team and the operators. So just going forward is to try to structure and move forward with, some of those changes and recommendations that were made. Stormwater infrastructure, continue to work with CAT on the 2 backup diesel, engine replacements for the vertical turbine pumps. Those are actually ordered now. And the contracts have been signed for the actual units and the installation of that in the fuel system. The emergency backup generator for the Bayview Storm Station was approved and ordered. Catch basin repair list, we just continue to add to that list. We have a few that need to be done. One of them's down at the end of Kendall. They started working on it a week ago, and because it's so close to the laws main, their mandate is they have to have an operator on site while any work's being done. He got pulled away for an emergency, so we had to cancel the job. So they just filled it with stone right now, and then as soon as Lois has an operator come, we're gonna attack that one again.
While you're pausing, are the 2 projects that you've initiated, they both come in at or under budget, did they? Or you?
Yeah, so everything so far, now the install, if there's any small things, they'll both, I'm confident they'll be both under budget.
Nice. Given all the uncertainty with purchasing now, that's good to
Yeah,
hear.
no, all the contracts were done, all the pricing is guaranteed, so we should be good to stay under budget.
Alberts.
So then just the capital work for the storm, like I said, it's all been started. We have some cleaning scheduled. Badger's working on scheduling that work again. They've done it in the past years. So their staff know the facilities and they have been giving us really good, rates. They did all the asset management work last year in 23 and 24s. They're gonna continue that with us.
So we did skip over, the Michigan Ave stormwater repair.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, that's a big one, so you
Yeah.
wanna,
Yeah, it's been a busy time, so
yeah.
it went
It
really
was
good.
intentional.
No, actually,
Not kidding.
We don't like to share good news.
Yeah,
it's been, to say extremely busy is an understatement. But yeah, we got it in, everyone was happy, dealing with business owners that, was basically Alberts. Talk to them almost on a daily basis to make sure they're happy. They did have some issues with some of their service providers not coming and doing what they were supposed to do, so like the one Saturday we had to come in. A long bunch of garbage to give them enough space to get to the Monday, and we moved the dumpster out. Again, we had problems on a Friday, same thing. We just took care of it, kept them happy, and I think they've been reasonably happy. Nobody else that I know of has had any issues or complaints. We had the one homeowner there on Livingston, we took care of that. She had a lot of people walking across her lawn, so we got I went down, got the fence moved by the contractor, and then we put up caution tape all around their property.
Oh, I wondered why that was there.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep people off, and the only way you're gonna keep them off is barricade.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's going well and it's done. They're just finishing the pavement today, and
So the scope of the work, was it always intended to go all the way to Holden Lane, or did they find something that,
I don't, it was always from Holden down to just past the intersection.
okay,
So they did, the new concrete sidewalk and pads all down for the bus stop, and they're doing they had to do some grading there, so they put the topsoil down, they're doing all the grading for that, so.
and do we know when the crosswalk signage is going up, or is that,
About 2 weeks is what
Okay.
they're expecting.
and then in the interim, does anything need to be like done, like for the bump outs? Do you put traffic cones out there so people see them, like until there's actual proper signage, or? do you
Not
just
sure
hope-
when, I know they wanted to try to get some line painting done, they were still working with contractors as of yesterday to get that date.
Okay,
The plan was to try to have the painting and everything done by the end of the week.
mhm.
Whether or not he got a confirmed date on that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but they were, like, they wanted to have sod, everything done except the crossing standards they're hoping to have done by Friday.
Okay.
The painting, I think, is the only thing that's really weather dependent.
Yeah.
The other, I mean, you can put sod down if it's raining a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
Such, so the paint is the one that is a worry, and they don't really want to open the road up until all the painting is
yeah,
done.
that makes sense.
So they're really hoping to get some cooperation from,
They are forecasting 4 days of rain, because
Yeah.
I'm launching my boat on Thursday, so that's, seems appropriate. But yeah, okay, yeah, I was just thinking, like, when we put these bump outs and until
Mhm.
there's stuff there, if they have to open the road, even dropping a traffic cone on each side,
I'll ask
yeah, brings,
Danny what he
yeah,
recommended.
it brings
there.
people's attention to a new hazard, right? But no, and when you're talking to Cope at your next meeting, I hope we can pass on that I'm finding the work they're doing to be very well organized, very efficient. I was just talking to someone over at Point Variety who said that he lives right on the corner. He says they work late, they get everything done, they make sure access is there every night, and they just seem to be so organized and efficient. So it's a nice change. Watching them work is neat compared to,
Oh, they've been really good to work with.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
said, most nights I've been there late myself, making sure, like, we put a lot of extra time in to
Mhm.
make sure everything is going and people are happy, so.
yeah, no, and you can tell it's much smoother, much better, like say, both from a staff perspective and from the contractor, so it should be
Right.
all noted. Everybody's doing a good job.
Our biggest concern has been traffic.
Yeah,
People just
people,
don't follow.
Oh, I
Even
know.
yesterday, I had to go down, I met with Danny, and I had to go down, somebody had moved all the barrels
Really?
on the north side of Michigan, under the bridge. They moved all the barrels, they moved all the barricades, and cars were coming in and out. So Danny was going one way, and he asked me if I'd go check it out, and sure enough, somebody got it out of their car, moved everything to the south side,
Like even the road closed sign and everything?
fully open. They had
Wow.
the north side of the road fully open from the center line over. So I put it all back. It's
And then
just-
where would they go when they got up there? They had
They
to,
go up and they park, and then they walk in for.
they're gonna get their fries.
oh, to Albert's.
And
Oh,
then they leave.
I know she even put cones across the grass, because were people driving up
Oh,
onto the
people were
boulevard?
driving over curbs, across the grass. We had, I don't know if we talked, I don't remember if we talked, we had one person, actually had pictures of them getting out of their car, moving the barrels and the cones, driving through, getting back out, putting everything back.
Really?
Went up, then they realized they couldn't get through, they turned around and had to move it all
Get it
again.
all over again.
They put them back at least.
Yeah, because most people don't, yeah,
Most people don't.
no.
It's,
Yeah. No, when I see people go by like 3 road close signs, and then they get to the actual barricades, and then they have this look on their face like, well, what's going on? Like, it's scary that, but
it's
anyways,
been interesting.
yeah.
To
yeah.
say the least.
Well,
as far as-
the few times I've sat and parked and just watched,
It's,
like-
it's been interesting.
times when you retire.
It's almost done.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's gone. If it weren't for the traffic problems,
Yeah.
There wasn't any
Like-
other problems to talk about,
Yeah.
except the silly people.
And I guess
It
it's,
has.
it's traffic problems, but
Yeah.
there's been no accidents or collisions or injured people. It's
It's
just
human
been, it's just
behavior.
been very annoying to the,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Cope get annoyed by people
Oh, yeah.
driving up on their construction.
There's a few close calls.
Yeah.
With people, some of Cope's workers and that. But, just, you get multiple people trying to do a U-turn at the same time.
mhm,
But, no, it was good.
We did
So
create the
I'm-
perfect, we did create the perfect storm for getting under the bridge, right? You couldn't have,
Yeah,
you know.
But
But, sh-
definitely couldn't be happier. They have been great to work with, so.
Mhm.
And
And so
they-
what's next? I heard St. Clair in Michigan is the next
Yeah,
intersection?
so after like on the 20th, I guess, the
Yeah,
Tuesday
the-
after the long weekend. The plan is to start working at the St. Clair, Michigan intersection.
yep, completely
Mike said
close
they'd
that.
go all the way to Bridge Street pulverizing.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, so they close the intersection of Michigan and St. Clair, but Alexandra St. Clair has to be open before they can close Michigan St. Clair, which they don't think is a problem. The road base for St. Clair should be down by today or tomorrow, but for sure by the end of the week
For that block.
for that block.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
from Michigan to Alexandra and
Mhm.
St. Clair. And then start the intersection of St. Clair and Michigan. That work, they hope to have it all done and have phase 4 and the intersection paved by the 30th of May. If the weather cooperates, that's what
Mhm.
they, so that intersection, Michigan and St. Clair would be closed for 2 weeks. Which I think is fantastic.
I don't think that's that bad, yeah.
So
So
that'll be
the fire,
noticeable.
the fire guys are very clear about make sure Alexandra is open before you close St. Clair. That message has been made very, very.
The only
clear.
thing that'll be there still, there will be the one launch pipe, which has a fence around it. But they'll have no problem. They should have no problem getting around it. But it has to stay until we do the next tie-in for phase 3. So
At Alexandra.
Alexander and St. Clair, yeah.
And then when the intersection at St. Clair and Michigan is done, then they move to Monk and St. Clair.
Okay.
And they'll do that. And all the while working on St. Clair Street
Yes,
itself.
yeah, yeah.
But kind of doing the 2 projects. And they're like basically 2 weeks to do an intersection.
And he said Alfred before school closes.
No, after
After
school
school
closes.
closes, sorry.
And then Louisa at Marson Bowl, is that farther down the road?
That's not in the time. It's on the list to be done.
Right, but it's not as driven by what they're
Right.
doing over there. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So as of today, they've got the 4-inch temporary water main for phase 3. Basically all set up now.
Yeah, I saw that.
They've got the 2-inch on the, I'm gonna call it the east side. the road.
It gets confusing over there.
Yeah, on the east side or north side, it's all pretty much done. I did get a phone call from one homeowner that was concerned about it crossing the driveway and the ramp up they did. So I sent the Copes people back they're gonna spread it out more and taper it a bunch more so they can get in and out. I do gotta call the gentleman back once it's done, make sure they're happy, but, they were a little concerned about where the line was ran. Unfortunately, with the lengths of pipe, it's the only spot they can put it. And because they have to do the removals in front of the house, we can't put it on the, you wanna know why we didn't have it on the boulevard?
All right.
We have to, the boulevard's gonna be ripped out.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll explain that to him. He was fine, so hopefully, they can get that leveled out, so. he's
And it's
happy.
like, when you're talking to people, like, you must want to say, it's not forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're looking for,
We're trying,
yeah, yeah.
we're trying.
All right.
Vehicles and equipment, or vehicles and equipment are in good working condition. Health and safety is just the ongoing issues, identified. Security. We don't have anything, or I didn't have anything when I submitted the report, but I did have, we just did yesterday. There's a question, the door at the baby pump station seemed to be a little skewed. It's hard to tell, but it looks like somebody may have been prying on the door.
And that's a new door, isn't it? Didn't we just
Yeah.
replace that?
Yeah, so, I was gonna maybe reach out and just ask the OPP to keep an eye on. There is an alarm there, if somebody gets the door open. but
Right.
It just.
Huh.
It's hard to tell, but it looks like somebody was maybe trying to mess with it. So I was just gonna ask them, maybe keep an eye on the road, if they see anybody around that shouldn't be. Capital budget. So BM Ross has provided that draft copy of the capacity study. So I did review it, been through it. I had a discussion with Andrew from BM Ross, trying to set up a meeting with him. I had staff do 3 drawdowns on Venetian Pump Station, because there's the question there that when they did the first drawdown with BM Ross staff, they're coming back with significantly lower capacity than what it's rated for. So I had staff go back with the 2 wells. We opened the valve in between the 2 tanks, like the ones basically a backup tank, an overflow tank. We opened the valve fully. I had them do drawdowns, and the calculations where it pumps what it should. So in the report, it states that they got their numbers, and we have a different set of numbers. So I was trying to get them to actually send somebody to witness it with us, so they could change the report completely. I haven't got that scheduled yet, but we've done 3 drawdowns. I need to go and do the calculations again, just to confirm it, but I'm pretty sure that our numbers are going to be the more accurate of the 2. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we can have that final report actually available. If I can get them to make those changes. The 25 operating capital budget was all approved for both my budgets, and we've been working to get us everything that we can ordered. Get them moving as fast as possible on all those, to try to get everything completed before the end of the year, and before we have to start working on next year's. The approval for the Helena Pump Station emergency generator, that was given, and that unit has been ordered as well. And then we're also just trying to work on some of the carryover from 25. I know there was a few projects that were carried over, and I've worked with Jane just to confirm where the numbers are. They weren't on the budget sheets. We've got that all sorted out now. It's there, so I wanted to make sure that it didn't somehow get
Lost.
lost or misplaced, and but it is all been put back in where it was, so we can get those rolling as well, try to get those finished up. And I didn't have any community feedback for upcoming events, and I don't have any closing comments.
Except to say it's busy.
It's busy. I honestly, I would have never thought, but it's been a spell.
Yeah, busy, but I think once a majority of this work is done, our infrastructure should be in really good shape, right? Like most of the aging stuff will have been dealt with and,
It's getting there.
Yeah.
There is still lots to do though.
yep.
There's still a lot of water main and sewer that's from the fifties and sixties.
I would say Simpson and Church Streets are gonna be your next.
priority.
issues.
That's my goal,
Yeah,
is to try to get over there. Like, it's hard to believe when we did St. Clair Street, there, if we would have removed the existing water main and put the new one in, this would be the fifth main in that road. So
Really?
we found 3 old abandoned, and then the one we removed, and then put the new one in, so this is the 5th water main on that section of St. Clair.
which section are you talking about?
Phase 4, so from
Phase
Michigan.
4, okay.
There's been 5 separate water mains installed there. Since when, do you think?
Hmm.
Was the
I
first
would
one,
say the 30s probably.
was the first one made out of wood or anything like that?
'Cause
You know, I was told, and I don't know if this is true, but I was told that up on phase 1, that they actually did find part of an old wood water main. I never saw it. Nobody ever told me that, but I was told a week ago that they had heard that they actually found a piece of old wood water main.
Cool.
So,
Well, I told you I lived in phase 1, and I remember the road being ripped down to dirt like it is today. That was a long time ago.
but yes.
And they put, like on St. Clair, just past Bridge Street,
Mhm.
it was big mounds of dirt. And they redid everything. That's a long time ago. So there was not multiple water mains in that area,
Not that I know of there.
no.
Right downtown, there's,
You wouldn't have found all of the mains that you normally find, except you had a larger sewer repair than you were planning on, right? Is that what,
no, when they were doing the connections, they were.
oh, that's when they
were-
found them?
That's when they dug them up. Yeah, there's two on the east side, and then there's 2 now. There would have been 3 if we would have put it in the same, if we didn't have to remove the one.
All right, any other questions, Mary? Okay. Thank you, Jay, for your report and all that information and for handling a lot of this. We're at the financial statements now. Any questions or comments?
I
Mary?
didn't have anything. That was questionable.
The only question I have about the financial statements is I thought when we talked about changing treasurers and getting stuff, that we would get a more of an executive summary.
Jane has some ideas around that.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know fully what they are yet. I know she was talking more about at the council level instead of like giving you quarterly reports.
mhm,
And diving into stuff a little bit more than just a chart of accounts.
mhm.
So she does have some ideas that she wants to work on. I'm
So if
just
we're going
not-
quarterly, March, April, May, like would we
Yeah.
have one for June?
What I've asked her to do is, and I think she's trying to get, is to take the first quarter of 2025 and prepare the report for the first quarter of 2025. So normally you would get that report, say at April's meeting, you get the
Right.
first quarter of 2025, maybe May's, I don't know. You know, I don't think she knows exactly what it's gonna look like yet, but I've asked her for the meeting in May to try and have the report ready for the first quarter of 2025, what she's proposing. And then if there's things you'd like to see different, you know, she may be able to tweak them, but I know she's working to have a report ready for the May council meeting on the first quarter. And then what it looks like for committee meetings going forward, we're not 100% sure on that yet either. how that's gonna. Some counselors like the detail that's in this style of report we get now, and some like more of the summary that,
And I don't think we should stop getting the line by line detailed, but we should also be able to look at an executive summary. And then if we need to drill down based on what Jane's written, we can, but we should be able to rely on that summary as a high level, just analysis, so. Okay, we'll look forward to that then. That'll be good. Our next meeting is Tuesday, June the 10th, 2025 at 1 PM right here in these lovely chambers. Any other new business at all? Anything to discuss? No, seeing none, we will adjourn. Thank you, Jane.